Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, posting on social media just now that he had a good call with President Trump that had been scheduled for 3 p.m., that Canada will be implementing a $1.3 billion border plan, sending nearly 10,000 frontline personnel to be working on protecting the border. He'll be appointing a new fentanyl czar, listing cartels as terrorists, a lot of requirements here, and saying that proposed tariffs finally will be paused.
Donald Trump scores a massive victory as disgraced Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is forced to bend the knee and give in to Trump's demands. So despite all the tough guy talk that was coming out of Canada, in less than 48 hours, both Mexico and Canada have decided to call it quits and do what Trump is asking, which is super reasonable, by the way. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, but where I have to start is with our friends up north who are begging for forgiveness so badly, they've decided to institute their very own fentanyl czar. Watch.
John, we can now report that the Trump administration will be delaying by at least 30 days those tariffs against Canada that were set to take effect at midnight tonight. We're getting this out of Canada. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau posting on social media just now that he had a good call with President Trump that had been scheduled for 3 p.m., that Canada will be implementing a $1.3 billion border plan, sending nearly 10,000 frontline personnel to be working on protecting the border. He'll be appointing a new fentanyl czar, listing cartels as terrorists, a lot of requirements here, and saying that proposed tariffs finally will be paused for at least 30 days while we work together. Now, we have not gotten official word from the White House on this just yet, although this is the same pattern we saw earlier today. We saw the news come first out of Mexico before the White House confirmed it. We heard President Trump say just a few minutes ago to reporters that the second call with Trudeau today had gone very well. But when asked whether tariffs were still going to be going into place tonight, he said, just watch. Now we know from Canada that these will be delayed along with those from Mexico. We'll just be watching to wait and see what's happening with China. Guys, back over to you.
Like him or hate him, you cannot say that Donald Trump isn't effective. And you had Justin Trudeau talking all big about the United States is going to regret this. This is going to hurt the U.S. We're sure going to show the U.S. with this one. Just to do this right before the deadline. It is so performative and fake. He could have easily just agreed to what Donald Trump asked of him instead of going through this whole stunt. But he's already a disgraced and ousted prime minister in Canada, so he wanted to try to save a semblance of dignity and show that he could stand up to Donald Trump and he wasn't scared. He wanted to try and grab a few favorability points on his way out the door. Listen to what Donald Trump said about the reality of US-Canada trade relations, and you'll understand entirely why Justin Trudeau bent the knee like he did.
Look, what I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. We give them protection, military protection. We don't need them to build our cars. I'd rather see Detroit or South Carolina or any one of our, Tennessee, any one of our states build the cars. They could do it very easily. We don't need them for the cars. We don't need them for lumber. We don't need them for anything. We don't need them for energy. We have more energy than they do. We don't need them for energy. So I say, why are we doing this? Why are we willing to lose between $100 billion and $200 billion a year? We don't need that. As a state, it's different.
The point of a trade agreement is this: I make this thing, you make that thing, let's buy from each other and it'll be mutually beneficial. But the reality of US and Canada is we don't need to buy anything from them. We do it because they're our neighbor and we want to help them out. But we're not going to run at a $100 billion trade deficit just to help them out when that money can be spent with American companies instead. The Democrats were freaking out, oh, everything you buy is going to get more expensive because of this. The reality is this: 2.6% of everything Americans buy comes from Canada and Mexico combined. That means for every $100 Americans spend, $2.50 of that is on Canadian and Mexican goods. And if those goods increase by 25%, you're talking about an increase of 60 cents for every $100 that America spends. So if you spent $200 at the grocery store, these tariffs would have increased that price by $1.20. Democrats were saying, oh, Canada will turn off our energy. Canada's utility companies are $55 billion in debt. If they didn't sell to America, they would quite literally go bankrupt, leaving Canadians without any electricity. The oil that they ship to us gets refined in American refineries and sent back up into Canada because they don't have the refineries to be able to do it themselves. If they stop selling oil to us, we would stop sending back refined oil to them, and then they would go through an energy crisis. The Democrat media was so disingenuous in explaining these tariffs. They were swearing up and down it was the worst thing in the world for Americans without highlighting how disastrous it was for Canadians, because it wouldn't fit their narrative that Donald Trump doesn't know what he's doing and that he's out to hurt the American consumer. I'm honestly interested to see how the liberal media is going to try and spin this into some sort of Trump loss, because that's what they've been doing with every single win that he's been racking up the past 2 weeks. But let's listen to Justin Trudeau's former second in command, who just yesterday was talking about how Canada is going to win this thing. Watch.
The pretexts are utterly ludicrous. This action is utter madness. It is a betrayal of America's closest friend, of your ally, your neighbor, your best partner in the whole world. It is an act of economic warfare. And the president was clear just this morning that it is a direct attack on our sovereignty. And I have to tell you, Fareed, Americans are going to be astonished by the Canadian response. We're hurt for sure, because we're your friends and neighbors, but most of all, we're angry and we are united and resolute. You know, Canada is the true north, strong and free. We love our country and we are united, we are strong, we're smart. We're going to fight for our country. We're going to fight for Canada, and we're going to be successful.
I really can't understand the whole fake bravado thing that the Canadian officials were doing the past couple of days, but I hope this sends a stark warning to the European Union, who is next on the chopping block for the almost $300 billion trade deficit that we have with them. We allow European companies to just send any and everything into America, yet they accept almost nothing back from us. So our citizens are enriching their companies, but our companies don't get to compete in their marketplace. I don't get the perspective all of the Democrats are having, that we're bullying our allies, we're harassing them. Imagine having a friendship where the only way that person was going to remain your friend is if you paid for everything that they did and they took advantage of you at every single turn. If Canada and Mexico and the European Union only wants to be our friend if they're allowed to take advantage of us, then that's an allegiance that ought to be reevaluated. They should be aligned with us because we saved them from tyranny in 2 world wars, and we stand up and fight and defend a way of life and a set of values that they agree with. And it's so weird that the Democrats were actively rooting for Mexico and Canada to win against the United States. Why do they hate their own country so much? Why would they be so excited at the prospect of American consumers being harmed? I'm enjoying all the winning and the constant liberal tears. And speaking of liberal tears, I just dropped a video of JD Vance announcing his 2028 presidential run and leaving the Democrat Party in absolute panic mode. That'll be up on the screen now. Click that if you want to enjoy it. But let me know what you guys think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Turn on those notification bells so you guys never miss a video. And I will see you in the next one.